put up the list here so people can see. 1.3 billion in Moody's stock still. Why do you still own Moody's, Warren?
It's a good business, very good business. I mean, just look
so
at the,
even after the financial crisis, where they mispriced lots of financial instruments.
Well, a lot of people mispriced. A lot of people made mistakes then, but we pay Moody's a lot of money to rate us. I'd like to not pay them that money. So I've seen their position, the competitive position, and they operate in a business with very wide profit margins, very high returns on capital, and it's a business that will probably grow over time.
Is it a conflict of interest that you pay them to rate you?
Well, I wish it were, so that we didn't have to pay them. But as a practical matter, we need their rating. We shouldn't need their rating. I mean, anybody should be able to look at Berkshire Hathaway and say it's a wonderful credit. But the world, in the way the world exists, we need their rating and we need Standard & Poor's rating, and we are not in a position to negotiate on price.
Yeah, we don't want to go into too much detail about our marketable investments, but I would say that the moat is, just in our view, is far wider, deeper, and infested with far more poisonous characters in the case of Moody's than in the case of the operating company. If you've had experience just in terms of making decisions about how you either obtain credit information in the case of the operating company, or if you want to obtain ratings on securities or something, I think you'd conclude that Moody's is a much stronger franchise than the operating company. Doesn't mean the operating company can't turn out to be a better business. It might have more upside under certain circumstances too. But if you're really thinking of what bad can happen to you, I think that you would regard Moody's as a considerably stronger franchise than the operating companies.
Moody's is a little like Harvard. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
If you cut the price of the admission to the Harvard Business School by $10,000 a year, you would have less demand in all probability than an increase in demand. I mean, it's totally counterintuitive in that respect, because it's the cachet of the school, in that case, is it's not only reinforced, it almost makes it necessary that it be priced toward the top. So you can throw away the demand and supply curves that they teach you in Economics 101 on something like that. I have a little fun with when I attend business schools, because I ask them, what the definition of a wonderful business is, and we go through all this stuff, and then I say, I tell them that really the best business I've seen is the Harvard Business School or the Stanford Business School, because the more they increase the price, the more people want to get in, and the more people think the product is worth. And that is a marvelous position to be in.
We bought just a little. About 6 million of the shares are attributable to another fellow in the office that's owned it for a considerable period of time. The rest are my portfolio, but I bought just a little bit. I like to buy them cheaper. I started buying when the stock was maybe 100. I was buying it kind of as fast as I could, and then I ended up buying some as high, a whole lot higher. I won't name the exact price, but a whole lot higher. I'd rather have it go down. For one thing, if it goes down, Apple's going to buy a lot of stock back. They're already buying stock back. And if it goes down 10%, it means they get to buy 10% more shares. And my interest will go up 10% more for spending that money and buying shares. So I am benefited by going down. If I were to talk my book, I would talk it down.
I spoke with an analyst today, Gene Munster, and he pointed out that the interesting thing about Apple is that for a long time it was a very volatile stock. It kind of traded in this boom and bust cycle. Every time they had a new phone that came out, it would push the stock higher. If they didn't have a new release, it would drop. He said that it's still 65% of the business, but a lot of people are maybe looking at it a little differently. And he wonders how you look at it. Is this a boom and bust cycle, or is there something different here?
Not in the least. I don't, I like to see the new release do well, or, that. But I do not focus on the sales in the next quarter or the next year. I focus on they won't tell you exactly how many, but hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of people who practically live their lives by it. And if you look at that little piece of whatever it is, that is some of the most valuable real estate in the world. I mean, that is Fifth Avenue will never come close to that. I mean, it is. You've got hundreds and hundreds of millions of people with loads of buying power, and able to do business or learn information or whatever it may be, and it's part of their habit of living. I mean, they spend hours a day, and it does all kinds of things for them. So that real estate is worth a fortune, and it's nice to have it added to as they sell new phones, and of course a lot of them are replacement phones. But they're adding to hundreds and hundreds of millions of consumers that are never going to get to Fifth Avenue. I mean, it's an extraordinary.
Well, Procter & Gamble is a very, very good business. Strong distribution capabilities, lots of brand names and everything. But if you ask me, if I'm going to go away for 20 years, to put all my family's net worth in one business, but I'd rather have Procter & Gamble or Coke. Actually, Procter & Gamble is a little more, it'd be more diversified among product line, but I would feel sure of Coke than Procter & Gamble. I wouldn't be unhappy if somebody told me I had to own Procter & Gamble during that 20-year period. I mean, that would be in my top 5% because they are not going to get killed. I would not be unhappy if you told me that I had to put my family's net worth in P&G and that was the only stock I could own. I would